Most people think that their cold email system breaks because of their bad copy, poor targeting, or the tools which they have been using. But in most cases, that's not the place where it breaks. It breaks before you even land your first reply. It breaks at your inbox level only. Because if your inbox gets degrades, then nothing you do is really going to matter. Because inbox failure is silent, you are not going to get any warnings or you are not going to get directly blocked. It is just that your replies which you are getting that gets slowed down and eventually they will stop. And afterwards, anything you do is not going to matter. And most people never even realizes what actually happened with their system, what actually went wrong because of their system is not working. So in this video, I will be explaining you why the inbox health is a real bottleneck, and if any system which ignores this, then this they are going to collapse no matter how good is your copy or the targeting is. Your inbox isn't just another sending tool. So it is going to be your reputational container. So you know that reputation cannot be a switch. It cannot be directly trusted or it cannot be directly blocked. So in the first place, you may have a question that why we are talking even about the reputation of the container, like your inbox. Because if your inbox reputation is good, like then you will be trusted. And once you are trusted, then your most of the emails will land up in the primary. But if your reputation is down, your trust is low, then in that case, what will happen that your emails will land up in the spam or the promotion. And I'm not saying not all, but very less amount of those emails which you have sent will land up in the primary. So just consider this as a credit score. So there is no single point where you are fully rejected or fully approved. But the actions which you are doing are going to shift the odd in case of the credit score. Then if your credit score is low, then you do some actions in that case and your credit score will become the high and you will be get approved. So this is how the this works. So now let's talk about the trust. Problem is that building trust takes time, but losing it is going to take a very little. If you are sending slowly for the weeks, it doesn't give you the right to send a lot. In fact, if you show this kind of sudden confidence, then it will be treated as a risk instead of the progress. Because trust accumulates linearly, but when it degrades, then it degrades exponentially. And most inboxes is not going to fail by getting blocked. They are going to fail by getting ignored. Nothing breaks, nothing crashes. Just system stops working. And there is no visible failure. So people assume that maybe they have a bad leads or the copy is bad or the timing on which they are sending that is bad. So they keep changing their tactics. But the underlying problem, which is their inbox reputation, that keeps decaying over the time. When inbox reputation is easier to damage than the page and it fails silently, so you don't even realize what actually went wrong before this problem is very expensive to fix. That's why in most cases cold email advice feels wrong, because people keep changing their tactics and by looking at the visible layer like leads, their copies and the timings, but underlying layer which is important that keeps decaying. So because of this, warm-up exists. Warm-up exists only for one reason. The reason is that inboxes cannot be trusted until it's proven stable. So they don't understand that if you are a founder or if you are a startup or if you're doing the cold outreach, they just understand is the pattern. How you are sending, at what timing you are sending, how often you are sending, and means how your pattern or the behavior is changing based on the timing. So trust is something which is not built on the effort. It is built on the predictability. Just consider it like a human behavior. Suppose there is a person who behaves consistently. That means that person is easier to trust than a person who keep changes their behavior. This is where most people get it wrong. They think that doing more activity is going to build trust, but consistency does. Just consider one example. If an inbox is sending 5 emails every day for a week, and another inbox is sending 5 emails on a day 1, then 50 email on day 2, and afterwards 0 emails on other days. Although the volume is same, but inbox 1 is very easier to trust than the inbox 2. Inbox 2 looks very risky. because there is no consistent behavior. So system prefers the boring consistent behavior over the burst of enthusiasm. An inbox which does a little every day is very easier to trust than an inbox which does a lot suddenly, because predictable timings, predictable volume, and no sudden spikes means this is going to be some boring behavior, which is the safest behavior. So we can say that safety doesn't come from being active, it comes from being unremarkable. Here the things get counterintuitive. Intuitively sending more feels like progress, but if we think in a systematic way, then it is treated as often exact opposite. Means inbox race is non-linear, and people assume that the risk is indirectly proportional to the volume. Like if they double the volume of the email sending, then it is going to double the risk. But that's not how it works. It is going to multiply it. Just consider an example like going means driving from 20 kilometers per hour to 40 kilometers hour. 40 kilometers per hour. It feels like you're driving twice as fast, but suppose if an accident happens, then the damage is going to be more than twice. Your inbox system tolerates the behavior up to a point. So we call that point as a threshold point, below which everything seems to be fine, everything is working perfectly. But if you just cross it, then performance will drop sharply. So just consider that till now you are sending your emails below the threshold point, and now you have just crossed that threshold. So what will happen that it is not going to degrade gradually. It will be like you are sending this, and now it will be dropped suddenly, and your inboxes will fail. So because of that, most people say that till yesterday everything was working. Now what happened to my system and it has stopped working. Here is where your inbox system really breaks. Once your inbox degrades, then fewer will reach the primary. Once the fewer will reach the primary, then you will get the lower replies. When replies are low, then system treated this as a lower trust. So this leads to a second order effect, which most people miss to understand. So at this point, your replies has been down. So what you do, you try to compensate that by sending more emails, but it accelerates the decay even more. So what happens that at this point your system isn't underperforming. Now your system is harming itself. So this leads to a very different way of thinking, because inboxes are fragile, which means if you're designing your inbox system, in that case, you should consider about the permanent limits, slow ramps, and conservative behavior. Because you don't design systems to push your inboxes, you design systems to protect them. Once you accept the fragility, then a lot of the things are going to make sense. So campaign chases the output, but system protects the input. So now you will now the caps will feel less restrictive. Then it will feel like a safety rails. Think it like a speed breaker. The speed limit on a sharp road. So it doesn't mean that we have to go slow forever. It means that we have to go slow where the damage is irreversible. Pausing new emails is another example. In most outbound systems, pausing new emails is considered to be a wrong decision because most people associate the activity with the progress and silence feels like a stagnation to them. But in a constant system, pausing new emails is a correct decision because inbox have a finite capacity and follow-ups is also going to consume the volume. At a point where you will get to a point where your maximum volume or the whole volume will be consumed by your follow-ups, and you don't have the capacity to load the new email outreach. But if you try to accommodate that, then it will eventually lead to your inbox failure. So you will get to some point where you have to choose between the inbox health or choosing new outreach. But an healthy system is always chooses the inbox protection over the new outreach. Backlog is another example. So backlog makes people uncomfortable because it feels like inefficiency to them. It feels like they are falling back. It feels like something is broken in their system. But in a constant system, Backlog isn't considered as a failure, it is considered as a control pressure because it prevents the spikes, it smooths the delivery, it also enforces the discipline. Backlog exists because the demand exceeded the safety limit and not because the system is designed poorly. A system with no backlog is considered to be underutilized or unsafe. A system with control backlog is stable. To be clear, inbox health is a necessary condition and not a guarantee. But without it, nothing compounds long enough to matter. So in the next video, I will be breaking down how this inbox facility shapes the follow-up design, volume allocation, and daily decision logic. Not as a theory, but as a system which I am currently working on. Thank you.